Ireland is home to one of the largest organised crime groups of the world, the Kinahan Cartel. The Kinahan Cartel has become one of the most powerful and feared criminal organisations in the world. Members have engaged in a wide range of illicit activities such as drug trafficking, money laundering, arms trafficking and corruption. But who are the most prominent figures of the Kinahan Cartel? And how did they become one of the most powerful and feared criminal organisations in the world? Let's go back to how this cartel started. Who is Christy Kinahan? Christy Kinahan, also known as the Dapper Don, is the founder of the Kinahan Cartel. His full name is Christopher Vincent Kinahan, but he is better known as Christy. Born in Dublin, Ireland in 1957, Christy has a long and notorious history of criminal activity, dating back to the 1980s when he began supplying drugs and other illegal substances to the youths in his gang. Christy earned his nickname, the Dapper Don, for his sophisticated and well-groomed appearance, which contrasted with the stereotypical image of a rough and tumble mob boss. He is known for his intelligence, ruthlessness, and ability to evade capture, having spent much of his life living on the run from law enforcement. In 1986, Christy was arrested in Marino for possessing a substantial batch of heroin valued at £117,000 on the streets. This quantity was considered significant at the time, leading to a 6-year prison term for him. His encounters with the law persisted. In 1993, he faced charges for possessing stolen checks, but he was granted bail and fled to the UK. However, his evasion was short-lived. In 1997, he was arrested again during a family funeral in Dublin for similar charges involving stolen checks. This time, bail was denied, and he was ultimately sentenced to 4 years in prison. Remarkably, during his incarceration, Christy pursued academic endeavours, earning 2 degrees. Even when offered early release in 2001, he declined to ensure completion of one of his degrees. His intellect shone through. He utilised his time behind bars to fluently learn Spanish and Russian. With these languages, Christy successfully set up drug routes into Western Europe for Mexican and Colombian cartels and the Russian mafia upon his release. By doing so, the cartel came to live by expanding its activities to the rest of Europe. Christy served as the direct leader of the organisation up until the position was eventually passed to his son, Daniel Kinahan. In February 2010, Christy was awaiting sentencing in Belgium over accusations of money laundering. According to UK detectives, he allegedly funneled profits from drug deals by financing 27 specific horse races spanning from December 2002 to August 2004. In a separate incident, a Dubai-based company associated with the Kinahan Group attempted to purchase 9 used Havilland Canada DHC-5 Buffaloes from the Egyptian Air Force in 2020. These aircraft are recognised for their capability to take off and land swiftly, making them ideal for manoeuvring on short airstrips, an advantageous trait for transporting cocaine. Christy Sr. is currently using air ambulances in Africa to transport his goods. The cartel bought off officials for use of landing strips and took control of the key transport routes to Europe, making the cartel second only in importance to the Colombian cartels. The cartel had effectively taken control of Africa's lucrative cocaine corridor, one of the main routes for importing drugs into Europe. After the drugs landed in the southern part of Africa, the Kinahan gang would use air ambulances to move the cocaine through the continent to ports where it could be shipped to Europe. Fugitive cartel boss Christy is currently being protected in Zimbabwe by local political figures, according to reports. Despite the worldwide manhunt for the Irish criminal, he has been able to operate from the African country, according to the Zimbabwe Independent. A key associate of Kinahans allegedly has connections with powerful political figures in the country. Who is Daniel Kinahan? Daniel Kinahan is the son of Christy, the Dapper Don. Daniel Kinahan was born in Dublin, Ireland on June 25, 1977. Daniel has taken over control of the organisation from his father in recent years. Daniel and Christy Jr., the other son of the Dapper Don, did not have a choice. Christy Sr. incorporated them into his business and illicit activities from a young age. At the age of 23, Daniel was one of 5 people arrested in connection with a vicious attack on 2 members of the Irish police outside Shelbourne Park. He was charged with assault and refused bail by Dublin District Court. The charges were dropped the next year. In the last few years, Daniel has become the face of the Kinahans and is suspected to run the day-to-day operations. Daniel has progressively assumed a more prominent role. He played a key part in establishing MGM Boxing, later rebranded as MTK Global, in Marbella in 2012. While this company faced suspicions of money laundering within the boxing industry, it was also viewed as a move toward vindicating Daniel's reputation. In the following years, he would build MTK Global into a boxing and mixed martial arts management criminal reputation. Despite his attempts to sport wash his image, MTK Global would constantly be tied to his underworld activities, so he decided to step down from the company. However, he continued to play an influential role in the boxing realm and was suspected of maintaining involvement with MTK Global. Notably, the organization's clout surged with the addition of the renowned Tyson Fury, with Daniel serving as his advisor. Daniel was often accompanied by another criminal, Gary Hutch, who positioned himself as a trusted figure within the core of the cartel. However, suspicions arose in 2014, suggesting that Hutch might have been providing information to the Spanish police, although this accusation was later proven false after his death. With drugs flowing, paranoia rising, and Daniel and Gary arguing over money, Gary turns to a hitman to liquidate Daniel outside his luxury flat in southern Spain. The liquidation fails and an innocent boxer is shot instead. After this failure, Gary fled Spain to get in touch with his uncle, Gerard Hutch. Gerard is nicknamed the Monk and is an old Irish criminal suspected of pulling off bigger heists. The Monk goes to negotiate with the cartel to spare his nephew's life. A deal was struck wherein Daniel would spare Gary's life in return for a compensation payment of €200,000 for the shooting incident. Additionally, it was reported that Patrick Hutch, Gary's brother, would supposedly agree to being intentionally shot in the leg, symbolizing blood in connection with the failed liquidation attempt. Both deals, however, were reneged upon when Gary was executed on Spanish soil. Despite the promised assurance, Gary Hutch was chased by a gunman around a swimming pool in a residential complex in Marbella in September 2015. Gary was shot 15 times. In late 2015, an assassin entered a bar in Lanzarote with the intent to eliminate the Monk. However, the Monk had a premonition about the situation and managed to escape unscathed. This moment turns the tables in the Irish underworld, starting a feud between the Kinahan and Hutch families. On the 5th of February 2016 in Dublin, during a ceremonial weigh-in for boxers before a fight, Hutch's team stormed into the venue. Individuals dressed in an elite guard unit's attire, wielding Kalashnikovs, along with 2 others armed with pistols, barged in. Among them was a person disguised as a woman. Their mission to retaliate against Gary's assassination by liquidating Daniel Kinahan. However, Daniel narrowly evades the attack. Tragically, amongst the chaos, 32-year-old David Byron, an associate of the Kinahan group, was fatally shot during the incident. This major ongoing feud between the 2 criminal organisations in the Republic of Ireland has resulted in the deaths of at least 18 people, the majority of which having been perpetrated by the Kinahan family. 14 deaths were allegedly ordered by Daniel. As of June 2018, Gardaí have seized 456 firearms, €2.2 million in cash, and €64 million worth of drugs in their efforts to tackle the feud, with no success. The global network and wealth of the Kinahan Cartel funding their Dublin unit gives them an advantage to wipe out their rival. In May 2017, Daniel married at the Burj Al Arab. Guests included prominent criminals from various nationalities such as Ridwan Taghi, Nofel Fazir, Ricardo Riquelme Vega, also known as Rico the Chilean, and Rafael Imperial. As of 2019, Daniel lives in Dubai. According to the Office of Foreign Assets Control, he has a residence in the Palm Jumeirah. On the 21st of April 2022, United Arab Emirates froze his assets, including both personal and business bank accounts. Daniel Kinahan hasn't fled Dubai and has been spotted playing soccer on the Palm Islands in February 2023. The Irish Mirror has learned he is still in his Gulf state bolt hole, despite having bank accounts and other assets frozen by authorities in the UAE and massive sanctions imposed against him by the US. Who is Christopher Kinahan, Christy Jr.? Christopher Jr., also known as Christy Jr. or Mano, is the younger son of Christy Kinahan. Christy Jr. is suspected to run the accounts of the cartel. Born in Dublin, Ireland in 1982, Christy Jr. grew up immersed in a world of organised crime. He is believed to have been involved in the cartel's activities from a young age, and he quickly rose through the ranks to become a more trusted lieutenant of his father. Christy Jr. is described as a shrewd and ruthless individual who is fiercely loyal to his family and the Kinahan Cartel. In 2016, Christy Jr. was arrested in Spain on suspicion of money laundering. He was extradited to Ireland, but he was released on bail in 2017. However, in July 2017, the police tried to catch him again. Spanish authorities launched a manhunt for Christy Jr. and several other Kinahan cartel members following a series of raids in Marbella. They didn't catch him. In October 2018, Spanish police launched another operation targeting Christy Jr. and other Kinahan cartel figures. The operation resulted in the arrest of several associates, but Christy Jr. remained at large. Another failed operation. In March 2020, Interpol issued a red notice for Christy Jr.'s arrest, making him an internationally wanted fugitive. Eventually, on the 12th of April 2022, the United States Department of State announced the offering of rewards of up to $5 million for information leading to the arrest and/or conviction of all the Kinahan family members. The reward is offered jointly with the Garda Síochána, National Crime Agency, and Drug Enforcement Administration. Christy Jr. is currently residing in Dubai, like his brother Daniel, furthering the operation of the cartel's international drug smuggling and money laundering activities. How did they become so powerful? The Kinahan cartel has become very powerful in a short time period due to the multiple strategies they incorporate. One of the most important strategies is setting up international drug routes themselves. By learning different languages, the barrier to set up these routes becomes smaller. The Kinahan cartel has transcended international boundaries, distributing multi-million-pound shipments of cocaine and heroin throughout Ireland, the UK, and mainland Europe. This global presence has allowed the cartel to diversify its revenue streams, exploit new markets, and evade capture. These two territories were originally part of the core group of 4 people who were mainly involved in supplying the British sector with drugs and weapons. However, around 2004, when Christopher had moved to Spain, he needed to place someone he trusted on the island to run the business. The second strategy of outsourcing allowed Christy to focus on further expanding the work area of the cartel. Christy has demonstrated a keen ability to identify and exploit opportunities. He has also been effective at building and maintaining alliances with other criminal organizations. The third strategy is infiltrating legitimate businesses. The cartel had more than 200 companies around the world linked to criminal activity. It appears that the group has followed the example of the Italian mafia by creating front companies specializing in the food and textile sectors to transport drugs and launder money. The fourth strategy is using violence and intimidation and exploiting corruption. The Kinahan cartel is not afraid to use violence to achieve its goals. The cartel has been linked to numerous murders, assaults, and bombings, and its reputation for violence has helped it to intimidate rivals and maintain control of its territories. The Kinahan cartel has also been accused of corrupting law enforcement officials and politicians in order to protect its interests. This corruption has made it more difficult for law enforcement agencies to disrupt the cartel's operations. The fifth strategy is the structure of the cartel. The cartel consisted of multiple units in a hierarchical cellular structure. No two units knew what the other was doing, and so only the core group was aware of the overall configuration. By doing so, no information could be passed on to the authorities by members of other units. This puts the activities of the units at less risk. The last strategy is by creating alliances with other big narcotic smugglers. By doing so, the Kinahans created a super cartel. This super cartel is established around 2018. Together with Ridwan Taghi, Edin G, Rafael Imperial, and Richard R, they controlled 1/3 of the cocaine trade in Europe. This alliance was something remarkable. Usually, the top drug lords battle for the top spot, yet these guys decided they would be stronger together. As they mainly operated from Dubai, each one of the members had their specific skill set and abilities. By bundling those, they became bigger than anyone could ever expect. It looked like the sky was the limit, and they lived flashy lives in Dubai, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on cars, jewelry, and more, all while the kilos of coke were distributed across Europe. Estimated reports have attributed assets of up to 1 billion euros to the Kinahan Cartel by incorporating these strategies. Dubai was a safe haven for criminals for years on end, as they did not have any extradition treaties with any country. So, criminals knew they would be safe. But the past few years, foreign countries have pressured Dubai into taking action against these criminals roaming free in their country and feeling untouchable. And unfortunately for the criminals, so they did. Imperial, Edin G, and Taghi were all arrested in Dubai. Presently, their whereabouts remain uncertain, aligning precisely with their intentions. The one entity keen on locating them would likely be the US Department of State, given their inclusion on the most wanted list. The reward is up to $5 million for information leading to the arrests of the gang leaders or the financial disruption of the group. This big sum of money shows how much they want the Kinahans under lock and key. The Kinahans are the only group left standing. All their other super cartel members are now behind bars or laying very low. Will the Kinahans get caught too? Or are they too powerful? If they get caught, will their cartel break down? Or can it operate without its key figures? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Until next time.